Wow, thank you very much. So this is a fantastic experience for me, and I'm just admiring this beautiful prize, which resembles a tree. And thing is that my grandfather, which I'm going to introduce you to in a minute, he actually had a family tree in the house that he carved out himself out of wood. So this really reminds me of him that I'm going to tell you about in a minute. So yeah, it all comes together. So dear all, I'm very honored to be here today with you, receiving your acknowledgement for my work with enforcing family structures. And to be honest, I was quite surprised when Lisa, whom I just met, told me that not only had she been applying on my behalf for a recognition in your organization, but it also seemed as if I would be getting an invitation from you on this behalf. I was both thrilled and surprised. Since then, a few months ago, I've been looking forward to this trip, meeting you all, and learning more about your work and your church. I think the main reason for this acknowledgement is my book about kids. But I want to start by telling you a story about my grandparents. My grandfather, he grew up in a very strict Christian family with many children. He moved out of the constituency as a young man, and he met my grandmother, also a Christian, but from a home filled with laughter and joy. Together they built both a business and a home, which has been a constant source of inspiration in my life and in my career. They started out in poverty. My grandmother's wedding gown was sewn out of recycled cloth from a parachute. And my grandfather, not owning anything, started out a business with his neighbor making horseshoes. And working hard, they grew a larger and larger business, which employed hundreds of local workers making metal constructions for ship industry in Funen and later on windmills. But having success did not influence on their values and their perspectives on life. I remember they were very humble people. They didn't know how to use money. And I remember one day entering the kitchen in my grandfather's house. My grandfather occupied the kitchen. He was washing licorice lozenges or pastilles, lining them up carefully in the kitchen table for drying, because the package of licorice had been attacked by ants. Yeah, you don't just throw out licorice. My grandmother wore the same simple dresses every day, making the clear message that appearance was one of the less important factors of life. Reasons for their success came from their endurance, their spirit of life, and also the constant innovation of my grandfather. So he built a swimming pool for his family at a point when no one had one in Denmark. And he succeeded. He didn't know how to build a pool. He just, dug a hole in the ground, and then it didn't work. I mean, of course, it was filled with nasty stuff. Then he took his car, drove to Germany, and just found somebody with a swimming pool. He couldn't find anyone in Denmark. So he just asked them, how do you build a swimming pool? He couldn't even speak German, actually. But he made them just make a drawing, and then he drove back and built the swimming pool. That was what he was like. So he built a swimming pool for his family. And instead of just enjoying the indoor pool with his wife and 3 children, he invited the village to use it. So I remember being a child, chilling at the pool, and suddenly a stranger would enter with a towel around his shoulders. Hello, I would reply. And sometimes my grandmother made a sigh when their house was once again occupied by people invited by my grandfather, expecting maybe a cup of coffee and my grandmother's famous shortcakes. So my grandmother, she was different, less outgoing, but I clearly recall a day in the supermarket. I was only a small girl at the point, and I was there with her, just shopping for something, and all of a sudden, a lady that I'd never met, but of course my grandmother had, grabbed her arm in despair and said, "I feel as if the Lord has abandoned me." And my grandmother responded in a strong voice, "He never will." And I think you get the message. My grandparents taught me and my brother and the cousins important values of life by example. They taught us that life can offer you a pleasant or a rough start, but what you make from it is your own responsibility. They showed us that hard work is a source of both education and experience, and, if you're fortunate, also possibilities in life. They introduced us to the fact that joy is not a birthright, but something you can find as an element of life if you are careful with your perspective upon things. And they were able to find joy throughout their lives, no matter the circumstances. They taught us that generosity is a virtue if life has been giving you enough to spare. That your value as a person is not represented by the titles you have achieved, your physical appearance, or the money you're able to spend. What is more important is your willingness to take responsibility for your life and for your next of kin. Being humble and knowing that you must strive to be better, also knowing that you will fail. That you are important to your family, but a very small part of the world. Actually, my grandfather was very concerned that his success would lead to us being lazy. I don't know, but I've done my best not to become lazy and in respect of his legacy. I have a degree in educational science. I've been working with education my whole life, and as you might know, I even took the position as a Minister of Education in Denmark for 3 years. But a large part of the most important lessons of life that I have learned from my family. Grandparents, mother and father, brother, husband, and children. We're not brought into this life to please the state, politicians, or a boss at work. We're here to honor life itself and to fulfill our part in life best as we can. Christian values can help us through all of this. Family structures can help us. For me, it's obvious that we need the confident obligations of family, not least in a modern society. I haven't, and I told Lisa about this, I haven't even looked upon myself as someone who have forcefully fought the cause of family. But looking back, I can see that's exactly what I've done. I just did what I thought needed to be done. So being a public person can sometimes be a lonely spot to be in. So I'm very grateful for having the support of my own family and my husband, first of all. And without this, I would be in a completely different place. So thank you all. Thank you, Rick, Francesco. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you all for allowing me this precious experience, and thank you for all your help and the support for making this journey. Thank you.